All right. Good evening, everyone. Thank you all for being here. My name is Mr. Manny Cardenas from Bellarmine College Prep. I oversee the immersion program here at Bellarmine. I'm associated with the Christian Service Program too, as well. And happy to welcome everyone here tonight. Thank you all for coming together and getting some good information about our new immersion and new partnership with Courts for Kids this year. We're very excited to offer this very unique experience as we were brainstorming around the first year of its inception. We really wanted to target our athletes because I know. And again, I feel like there's no good time sometimes with athletes to come to our immersions because they're definitely busy. But we really wanted to target our athletes for this immersion here at Bell to participate in the summer, what it seems like to have at least a little bit more of a leeway of time. Although I know that it doesn't capture every athlete on our school campus, we hope to kind of just pilot the program and see where we go from there. I know that we've talked about opportunities for the future and how that may look like for Bellarmine and opening this immersion up for others. But again, for now, like I just want to say that those who are here today and are just kind of getting the information, and maybe your son's not an athlete, we do offer 10 other trips throughout the year at Bellarmine that your students can participate in. So, uh, without any more to say and add, I know I wanted to give this time to Derek Neslin, who's here to represent Courts for Kids and give you some information about it. Again, like I said, I've gotten a lot of parents, students contacting me about what this immersion is about, and again, I try my best to analyze that for y'all and come up with some good rhetoric around what that looks like. But we have Derek here who kind of started the whole thing, and so I'm going to go ahead and hand it over and let him kind of take over the meeting. And then towards the end, we can leave it up for some questions for Derek, but also some questions for myself. We also have Mr. Saldivar here, Mr. Moreno. Mr. Saldivar is going to be leading this immersion with our students. And so, great questions if you want to ask anything direction as far as supervision or just as leading on the trip. And we're hoping to build a team around Mr. Saldivar as we get closer to summer of 2026. Okay, I said too much. I think that's enough, Derek. If you want to go ahead and kick it off, I'll hand it over to you. Thank you all.
All right, thank you, Manny. It's really nice to be here, and it's great to start this partnership with Bellarmine. I'm really excited for it. And my goal tonight is to give you all the information that you need to know to make a decision of whether or not this is a good fit for you. My plan is to come down in the spring for those who are going on the trip for a mandatory in-person meeting with students and parents. So we'll set the date for that and get that out. But this meeting, the goal of it is just to give you enough of an overview for you to decide whether or not this is a good enough fit for you. Hopefully you can all see my presentation. I'm sharing my screen. I did want to mention that I'm going to hit on some of these areas, like our history, philosophy, safety, security. There are some more resources that we have on our website, and I think Manny may have sent that out already. But just so you know, if you go to our FAQ section on our website, you can watch more videos that unpack a little bit more of what I'm saying. I want to keep this meeting a little more short and sweet, but there are more resources out there for you guys. So what I want to start with is just why we exist as an organization. And really, it all goes back to the year 2006. I played basketball in various countries and finished playing, and I got a random email one day from the Philippines asking if I knew of a basketball team that could go play in the Philippines. And I didn't, but I was mentoring high school athletes and coaches, and I just wanted them to have an experience of doing some sort of international service. So I threw out the response, what about a basketball court? Is there a need for that? Didn't expect to hear anything back. The next morning, I woke up to 3 emails in my inbox from different communities as the word had spread, all saying the same thing. Like, we have this piece of land, we're trying to do this. Would you really help us? And so We ended up getting 24 students and adults together for that very, very first project, and it was incredibly successful. Here you can see what the land looked like on the left beforehand, and then this is kind of the last day when the court was built of us inaugurating the court and playing with the kids. Thought it was going to be a one-time thing. Instead, I got back home, and within 2 months, the word had spread kind of through our personal network. And we had someone reach out to us from Costa Rica, from Honduras, from Indonesia, all with the same story. There was a piece of land, the community's trying to actively do this for whatever reason. They were motivated. They wanted to build a place for kids to play sports. They didn't have the means and resources to do it all themselves. So would we consider continuing to help in this way? So at that time, I would say Courts for Kids was born. We started the organization officially in 2007. And I think what you'll find with Courts for Kids is what started us has been consistent throughout our history of that the need has always initiated from the community themselves. To this day, we continuously get applications from communities. They all have the same story. This is like a pressing need for these communities, and we're just there to help assist that need, and that's where our student volunteer groups, are able to get involved. So since 2006, this is just in Central America and the Caribbean, but you can kind of see some of the dots of where we've built courts. We've also built courts all over Africa, Southeast Asia, other parts of the world, but kind of our primary hub has been Central America and the Caribbean, and you can see all the dots in Costa Rica. So this project is going to be, I think, getting close to our 50th Costa Rica project. So we've done a lot of projects down there, so we have a lot of experience. Um, here's some of the schools that we have partnered with and continue to partner with. You'll notice there are quite a few Jesuit schools on the list from around the country, which is really exciting. I think it's a great fit for Jesuit schools. You can see a list of other private schools. This is also on our website. You see, we've also partnered with a lot of university athletic departments. University of Oregon, University of Texas do trips every year with their athletic department. So we've had a lot of student athletes from those schools amongst the other ones go. This area, we're taking a little bit of a hit with the changes to revenue sharing in college athletics, which is opening up the door for more groups. More high school groups in particular. But you can see we have a lot of great partnerships with a lot of schools that work with us regularly. So I want to just talk a little bit about what the Courts for Kids experience entails. We take pride, great pride, I guess, in the type of experience that we want to provide. And the first thing is meaningful service work. So, our projects are definitely about the service. When you show up, you're going to see a piece of land that's been prepared, but it's level and it's just dirt. By the time you leave, every one of our groups last year was able to play on the court with the kids before they left. So you see the beginning, you see the end. So there's a real sense of accomplishment of what you were able to do. But what makes it really meaningful is that, like I mentioned before, all of these projects are initiated by the community themselves. So you're not showing up feeling like, is this going to make a difference? Is this really going to be impactful? What am I doing? Why am I doing this? Instead, it's like this all hands on deck community project where you're working side by side with community members to make this happen. So at the end of the day, we want you to feel like, wow, like I actually contributed. I can go onto that map that we have on our website in 15 years. I can look at this pin in this community and see that I actually made a tangible impact in this community. So our projects are not all about just service. We also really pride ourselves in a full immersion into this community that you're going to. So what that means is even during the service work, the immersion is taking place. And the reason for that is you're not just doing service while locals are watching you. Like you literally are sharing jobs with the local, shoveling, carrying buckets, wheelbarrows, whatever it is. It's all side by side. It's all with the community, and you're learning through that process more about the community. But we prioritize with our groups that you actually stay in the community. So in this case, you guys will be staying most likely in a church, and it'll be right in the heart of the community. So that means when you're done working, you're going to clean up, and then after the work's done, You might learn how to make traditional food. The locals might get you into a local soccer game. You might be learning how to make some sort of craft that they do. You're going to be learning about kind of the history of the community. You're just going to be hanging out. They might be teaching you some of their local dances. It's just the whole experience is very intense in the community where you're fully immersed, engaged with the community. And these are communities that do not have groups coming in to stay with them, to visit them, to do these types of projects, which makes it incredibly special. Like they are so excited to get to know you and to just hang out, connect. And we find that most of our students end up finding people that they stay in touch with after the trip. And they connect, they share information, social media, WhatsApp, and they end up just staying in connection. And they actually tell us, "Hey, did you know the court's being used for this now? Do you know they're doing with this with the court?" And we love hearing those stories, but it's because of relationships that develop. Um, a big part of our projects are disconnecting. When you guys arrive, what we do is we collect the cell phones of the students, we lock them in a safe place with their passports, and it's a full disconnection. Now, parents are still able to hear updates of what's going on with their students through social media. We'll post something every day. If there's any sort of emergency, if anyone has to go to a clinic, we notify the parents, we let you talk to your students. So it's not like we're trying to just not allow any contact, but no news is good news. And the beauty of this is everyone sometimes is a little bit nervous to give up their phones, but it actually is now the highlight of the trip for a lot of people. They come back and they're actually like, man, I connected with people in a way that I haven't maybe ever. Not only with the community, but with the students who are going. So that's a big part of our trips. And we really think, for young boys, high school boys, I have two sons. One's a freshman in college now, and one's a junior. They've been on many trips, and when they've gone on trips without their parents, I do feel like it's a coming of age experience for them to have this sense of empowerment. I didn't know that I was capable of doing this. I was a picky eater. I came on this trip. I ate the local food, and we really see so much growth that this is a pivotal experience for kids. And so that's kind of the Course for Kids experience in a nutshell. Full immersion, full service. You'll get a chance to really experience and see the beauty of the place. But it's all about the connections, all about the relationships that are formed. I do want to hit a little bit on safety. I know that's kind of a pressing concern for parents. As I showed in the slide, we've done a lot of these trips. We have a lot of things in place. I think those parents that let their students go with us to the Philippines in 2006 are still the most brave parents because we had nothing in place at that point. But by now, after all this experience, we just have done a lot of research and study into how can we make this a safe experience. And here's some of the key points. Number one, we have a staff person who's in Costa Rica who's been to this community. They'll have been there probably 4 or 5 times before you arrive. And so they know the community leaders. They're very connected. They've been working with the community to make this happen. And they'll be with the group from the airport until the airport, the whole time in country. Private transportation. We're not taking public buses down to the community. We're chartering private transportation. We do have a strict behavior and conduct policy. I'm going to talk about that in a second. And then I talked about the mandatory training. There is a clinic that is going to be within, just a few minutes that's open during the day. If there's something that is there's an emergency where someone needs to go in the middle of the night, there is a hospital that's about 30 minutes away. There always will be transportation available. In those cases, we have a first aid kit. We only drink clean potable water. In Costa Rica, their water is actually very clean, so we deal with very few stomach issues in Costa Rica compared to some other places. And then we also do have a major medical policy that would include evacuation out of the country if necessary. In our history, we've only had to use that one time, and it was for like a 30-year-old adult woman who had a mental breakdown in Africa, and we decided she needed to get home. The reason I share that with you is because there was a nurse that escorted her from Uganda all the way back to Medford, Oregon, and it was all covered under the plan. So it's a very, I guess, comprehensive plan in the case that something major does happen on a trip. Um, Expectations, I talked about the cell phones. So for the code of conduct, we're asking all students, we're requiring all students to not take part in any alcohol, drugs, inappropriate relationships. We have a very strict policy. You'll see it when you sign our release forms that you're agreeing to have your son sent home if any of those are broken. So I just wanted to always make that really clear up front that, you know, if you're worried about that with your son, then maybe this isn't the right fit for them because this is just a zero tolerance policy when it comes to those things. Um, so, yeah, so I would just say also when you sign up, you're going to get a registration on our website. We're going to mainly be communicating through email. So just we would expect you to be able to check those emails regularly. Okay. Just a little bit more about the community. And then I am going to open it up for questions and answers here in a second. So you can see where the community is located. We've actually done a lot of projects in the southern part of Costa Rica. So you can kind of see, it might be hard to see on the map, but we're not too far from the Panama border. In this case, down outside of the town of San Vito. San Vito was formed actually by Italian immigrants, I think in the 60s, and all these surrounding communities have bubbled up kind of to service the bigger town of San Vito. That's where the hospital is located. You can see that the area is incredibly lush and green, and a lot of mountains. It's really beautiful. The one of the last groups that went down here was the University of Miami football team. They sent a lot of their football team on this trip, and those guys coming from Florida, I think, were shocked at the mountains and the scenery. You guys are being in California, see more of it, but it's still an incredible, lush part of the world. It's really beautiful. So I mentioned the community is about 30 minutes away from San Vito. There's a clinic 5 minutes away by car, hospital 30 minutes away. It's a rural agricultural community. So they grow coffee, they grow rice, vegetables, cattle, poultry, surrounded by mountains and valleys. You'll probably learn and get a chance to see how they make coffee, like how that whole process works. You're going to get to learn a lot about just how life operates down there. It's an incredibly educational experience. Small town, 168 people. So very small community, very small, very rural. And so we do a lot of projects in very rural areas where they don't have many, if any, gathering places for their community to go. So I did a project here a year ago in a nearby community, and after the court was built, the community actually built a little, what we would call a concession stand, because when they do tournaments and games, they sell food and they raise money for their community so they can buy more balls and take care of the court. So it becomes a very big piece of these communities. A little more mild down there, which is nice. Some of the places we go are incredibly hot and humid, so being up in the mountains makes the work a little bit nicer, more comfortable, which is nice. There are two churches in the community, a Catholic church, a Christian, an evangelical church. And the community, like I mentioned, they actually fundraise for the court. So they're providing volunteer labor, but they're also fundraising. Here are some of the ways that this community in particular is going to fundraise. They're going to do bingos. They're going to do raffles. So apparently they're getting a bull donated, which they're going to raffle off. They'll sell tickets, raffle it off for the community. They'll do some sporting events like on a field. They'll take donations. They're going to do community contributions. So in addition to the money that you guys are contributing or fundraising, which is going to buy cement, sand, gravel, all of those things, the community themselves are also helping to contribute for their own court. It's important for us that they have that ownership. And then here's some other pictures. You can see some of the kids in the community. They're going to be super excited to get to know you guys. You can see some of kind of the local beauty, waterfalls, lush areas. Who knows? Maybe one of these cows are going to be auctioned off. I don't know. Very agricultural area. And then here's where the court site will be. So we're going to turn this field right here into a legit multi-use court. There, it'll feature basketball, soccer, volleyball, um, and like I said, a lot of community gatherings, celebrations, festivals, that sort of thing. We just completed a big survey over the last 3 years, and what we found out is that 100% of the courts that we've built are being used either every day or almost every day. And one thing that we think is really cool is that 88% of the communities we've built courts in have seen an increase in participation in sports amongst girls, which we think is awesome. It's so cool for us when we see girls playing sports. So those are two kind of key metrics that we love seeing. Um, Here's my information, my email, my phone number for questions. Um, I did want to, I guess, before we open it up for questions, see if Manny has anything he wanted to add. Um, you did get an informational packet. I think they've all seen that, and that has kind of a breakdown of the community, immunizations, getting a passport, which I know with the government shutdown there were issues, but I've actually had to renew my passport, and it's still been happening even with the shutdown. Um, and then it also talks about kind of the fundraising responsibilities, the funding responsibilities. And like I mentioned, that includes airfare, all the in-country costs. It includes the court construction cost to help make this a reality. It just doesn't include the it doesn't include like souvenirs or snacks. That's basically it. I saw a comment that someone didn't get the packet, so we'll make sure that gets out to everybody. Um, Okay, I've been talking super fast, but I did want to save time for questions, and I didn't want to talk for too long because I know that you have a lot going on. Everyone's busy. I wanted just to give you this overview, hear it from me, and then have a chance to answer questions. So, Manny, what did I miss?
No, I just wanted to clarify that the packet wasn't distributed to anyone yet because we wanted to identify folks who were interested in going. And so seeing that there was still a lot of like confusion about the Courts for Kids immersion, this is why we brought this informational. And so if folks are still interested and want to move forward with the process, I could send the packets out directly to folks who are still wanting to move forward with the immersion. So yeah, and I know in the application for the Courts for Kids there was some information that's tied to what Derek has talked about. Um, Maybe again, we do this on purpose, just to clarify, is that the reason why we make the access to the students that are able to only access the application is because we want them to share the application with you. So like actually sit down and both of you look at it. And so that's why the application isn't like open for anyone to just view. It's specifically only open for students at Bellarmine. So that's just kind of an intentional practice that we do so that way students are able to are encouraged to like have these conversations at home. But again, I will let folks kind of, I know questions are being asked right now. And so, um, yeah, I hope that at least clarifies the whole packet situation. But I can go down the chat real quick, Derek. Duration of time for the trip, service, and cost.
Okay, so yeah, great questions. Those are kind of the basic questions. So the schedule right now is June 12th through the 21st. So departing on the 12th, returning the 21st. And what the schedule looks like is, a travel day, get down to the community, usually like 4 days, half to full days of service. But even on those days, there's all sorts of other activities happening. So it's not just working, all day. But it is intense work while you're working. And then usually a day when the court's drying to go, we kind of call it like a local field trip. It might be visiting a waterfall, it might be visiting a hot springs, it might be visiting that coffee farm. Then kind of on the sixth day or so is, when it's the celebration, the court's done doing an opening ceremony and inauguration. And that's usually the last night in the community, and then head back to the Capitol, stop and do something along the way, and then fly out the next day. So it's a pretty intense week, but that's the 12th through the 21st. So let's see, what was the other?
Number of athletes per trip, and I think I know we've talked about it, but Kevin, I don't know if you wanted to specify a little bit more in depth of just our decision on that, or if we came. I believe there was a number that we were throwing out there.
Number of people on the trip?
Yeah, which just the student wise, because I think we want to be at least taking three chaperones with us. Um, but
Yeah,
yeah.
I think the minimum, I think Derek, correct me if I'm wrong, is 16.
Mhm.
So I think we want to kind of stick around that 16 to 20 mark, to kind of make it, as manageable as we can for this first time doing the trip, and then kind of see how it goes from there.
And I think Derek explained to us in previous conversations over the summer that 16 is a minimum number. So we would need 16 to have like a Bellarmine group to go. So again, that's kind of what we're shooting for, the 16 to 20 students.
And then in terms of the cost, and I can't remember if there were additional fees that we were adding from Bellarmine, Manny, but the Courts for Kids portion is 2,700. And so that includes, like I mentioned, all the things I just talked about, the airfare, all the in-country costs, the construction costs. If you do look at other projects, we do find ourselves definitely on the cheaper end of that. And one of the reasons is we're a nonprofit organization. In fact, we have donors that contribute annually, and it allows us to set the price a little bit lower. At the end of the year, we're just looking to break even. We're not a for-profit company.
Yeah,
I'm
and
gonna
I think like we were kind of talking in the same range of what that may look like for overall. I believe in the application I mentioned it was anywhere from 26 to 2,800. And so we'll have like a very final cost probably at the beginning of January that we'll be able to like communicate with families and folks who are interested in moving forward. But it's in that ballpark. Um, We have a question here, commitment date deadline. After speaking, we met with Mr. Saldivar and Mr. Moreno too, just kind of like brainstorming some deadlines. And originally we wanted to I'm sorry, originally we wanted to make the deadline before Thanksgiving. So those who were interesting to go, that way we would be able to identify our group by December and then start meeting in Wednesday to kind of start the process. As you know, with any immersion at Bellarmine, we have at least 3 to 4 pre-meetings that we would like to prep our students with. Again, Derek talked about that his organization comes out and speaks and kind of goes over some overviews and some logistical things that students need to know. And correct me if I'm wrong, Derek, like that is also a parent meeting too as well. That
Yes.
happens. Yeah. And so right now, what we set the deadline was before Thanksgiving. Again, Kevin, I'm not sure if we want to extend it because we had to kind of bring Derek along to give this informational, but again, we could talk a little bit more further of like what that deadline might be. I will say though that we probably want to identify folks by this year. So we don't want to extend until January. We really want to identify those 16 to 20 students by this year.
Manny, did you see the question about the steps to submit an application?
Yeah. So the application again is live. It has been emailed on Canvas to all students, rising juniors and seniors. Again, like students are the only ones that can access it because they have a BCP email. So my hope is that they would be able to share that with you to like basically, like I said, open it up with you and sit down and talk about it and review the questions and all the commitments that we've talked about. Um, yeah, because if I share it to everyone here, like you won't be able to open it, is what I'm saying. Only the students are. But it is on Canvas. It was sent out in a Canvas announcement. It also was sent out to the class of 27 and 28 as well via email. I can again send out a email with the link to students via email on Canvas just to everyone can kind of like bump that up to their inbox. And I can do that tonight. Not a problem.
And then Kevin, it looks like there's a question for you. If the athletes are football players, will these dates work for preseason practices?
Yeah, I think in anything, right, we do in athletics, we can never plan perfectly. So we're always gonna be missing something or kind of have to adjust a little bit and be flexible. And so, with the coaching staff, I've talked with them of all of our sports, right, letting them know that, part of our mission of being a Jesuit school is doing immersion trip and kind of giving those opportunities to all of our student athletes. And so similar to when we go on retreats, right? Excused absences, right? I think it's one of those things where we just got to plan ahead of time. And I think the goal of picking early June was that it's at the beginning of the summer, and anytime you miss, you'll be able to make that up. Hopefully, as we get through to the end of the July and August when the season actually starts. So that was kind of the idea of picking early June.
Yeah. Thank you, Kevin. Another question here is, does this count towards service commitment, community service hours, which is a great question. I get this question a lot, especially since I oversee service hours for the sophomores. Yes, so this trip will count for service hours. Um, Given the time that they'll be on the ground and doing work, will be 30 hours that will be granted. So rising seniors can claim it for their senior year, and juniors as well for their junior year. So yes, these will count for the year coming of 26, 27. Um, I did see a question here, Alma. Is it only for student athletes or for any student? So this year we're piloting to just athletes at Bellarmine. Now, I don't want to promise that like, we may open it to other students. But if we do see a number of athletes that don't sign up for the immersion, then there's a possibility that we can open this up for other students to join. Again, that might be a decision kind of very like last minute. And I wouldn't say like by like May or something, it would be done before then. But for now, for kind of like the inception year of Courts for Kids partnering up with Bellarmine, we do just want to offer this immersion to our athletes. Like I said in the beginning, if your son is interested in the immersion program, we do offer other summer immersions, spring break immersions, and an immersion during ski week as well. So this isn't the only immersion that's offered. Obviously, we do have others that are being offered to our student body. I do see a question that says, are all chaperones various Bellarmine parents or part of your existing staff? Thank you, Michael, for the question. So right now, most of our immersions, except for like Tijuana, are staff and faculty led. So with Courts for Kids, we will expect that our faculty staff are the ones who will be supervising our boys on the trip for now. I know that we've talked about parent involvement in other situations. I know Tijuana is definitely one big immersion that we have the dads come. I know we're offering it to moms too as well this year. But it does take some planning to do that and offering it up to volunteers, as just each immersion has its own kind of policy and procedures that we have to go through. So for this year, it just would be faculty and staff. And also just Kevin, I was wondering, I know I mentioned this and we kind of got bombarded with some questions, but I know that we said that the deadline, do we still want to stick with the deadline or maybe have an offline conversation about the deadline for this immersion?
Yeah, definitely offline for sure.
Okay, cool. Sounds good. Well, again, if you're more than welcome to put your questions on the chat or come on mute. Um, Derek has his information up here with his email, phone number, if there's any maybe more direct questions that you would like to ask. Um, my goal is to resend the application. Again, it's an MS form. And again, just reiterating that like your students, your sons are the ones that can access it because they have a BCP email. Um, and my hope is that if you all are talking about it in conversation at home, that you can get together, sit down, and look at the application, look at the requirements that are asking. Again, there are some things in there. Once we have a confirmation of folks who um, um, are interested in moving forward, then we'll send additional material to everyone. Yeah, I will say this. Students who are receiving tuition assistance, I know that's always a question of financial support. So if students are receiving, if your sons are receiving tuition assistance through the school, that will be reflective as well in the immersion. So that trip will reflect your tuition assistance. Uh, we do have a case by case situation if families are facing hardship. We understand, we get it. I'm definitely a big advocate about not letting uh, financial burden be a reason why your son's not able to go. And so, if there is anyone or families facing that, I'm here to kind of have that conversation with families and figure out what's a good plan, what may work. So there is financial assistance outside of folks who are just receiving tuition assistance. But I just want to say that out there just because for me, my goal is that our students are able to access these experiences. Um, as they journey through Bellarmine. Right. I don't know if there's anything else, Derek, on your end.
No, I think that's it. I'm definitely available if you have any more questions that you weren't able to ask me directly. I know a lot of these questions are more Bellarmine specific, but if there's any Courts for Kids questions about the trip, I'm happy to answer those. Email is a great way to get a hold of me. You can also call me.
Great. Mr. Saldivar, Mr. Moreno, anything that you would like to add before we close?
Nothing for me.
Okay.
I'm good. Thank you.
Thank you all. Well, families, thank you so much again for coming together and being part of the presentation. I hope that it helped to give a clearer picture on what Courts for Kids does, their mission, but also just the great work that they're doing. Again, I was bought in the first 5 minutes when Derek explained the program, and I really thought this would be a great opportunity for our Bellarmine athletes to really participate in. So again, please take the time, sit down with your sons, and have a conversation. Figure out how this would be best for you all moving forward. Again, the sooner the better. If students could fill out that application and get it in. I know we do have about like 3 folks who already applied, so we need a couple more. But again, if there's anything that I can help with to on the Bellarmine side, please reach out to me. I'll be available. And again, thank you all for being here. And like we say at school, have a great evening and go Bells.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Derek, I
Thank
can
you.
stick around for a little bit for anything else.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, it sounds. You could also stop recording if you haven't already.